Hi, I'm Liron Cohen.
And I'm Mimi Torchin.
And you're listening to Lady Parts TV, the podcast.
Whee!
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Happy pandemic.
Happy pandemic what? I'm
Whatever.
curious to know
What's
where you were
today?
going.
What is
Where were you
today?
going with this?
It's Thursday for us.
It's Thursday, but when you're listening to it, it's Saturday. We're not trying to gaslight you. It is Saturday,
yes.
not Thursday. I'm embarrassed to even tell you how many shows we tallied this week. One.
Well, I watched some stuff, but
Not new.
nothing new. No.
And out of that one was directed by a woman. Zero were written. So 0% and 100%. Yes, this is very interesting times, people.
What did we watch? Even?
I don't even remember. Maybe the finale of The Bold Type. But we do have actually a lot of female-centric stuff to tell you about. And yes, we always have female-centric stuff to tell you about. But everything on our list today was written and directed by women, with the exception of one thing that was directed by a man, but everything else was written and directed by women. 3 of these things are either lesbian or lesbian adjacent, and we'll tell you about them. So
or
it's
lesbian
great.
overtones, not necessarily.
Yeah, I mean,
lesbian
but
adjacent.
there are
Lesbian adjacent means that there's a lesbian over there on the side, and the main characters didn't have anything.
well, lesbian related.
Okay.
So, but there are lesbian themes in at least 3 of these
yes.
things. So, we're going to start with the overtly lesbian-themed film called Summerland. It's premiering Friday, July 31st. You'll have to look for it because we actually got it as a preview from Newfest.
Newfest, right.
And it was written and directed by Jessica Swale, who is a playwright, actually, and this is her film debut.
And I think that she won awards for her play.
Yes. She's an award-winning playwright. And the movie stars 2 women who have already played lesbians in the past. I'm loving this, lesbian festivals.
Yes.
Gemma Arterton, who played a lesbian at least once that I know of in Vita and Virginia. And mbatha-raw, who, if I'm not mistaken, was in Black Mirror.
She was in the Emmy.
The Emmy, exactly. Episode of Black Mirror about the lesbians, yes. Lucas Bond is the child. Penelope Wilton plays Gemma Arterton older.
Grown up.
Martina,
much grown up, yes.
Martina Laird plays Gugu mbatha-raw, grown up. Tom Courtney, and a delightful young girl called Dixie Edgerix. Yes. This takes place during World War II in Britain, southern England. Beautiful, stunning views.
It was also, you said, a female DP.
Yes, a female DP. The cinematographer is Laurie Rose, and by the way, another one of our movies was the cinematographer was a woman. So that's very
It was
excellent.
breathtaking to look at. It was like a living watercolor. It was just gorgeous.
By the way, again, pardon the background bird noises. We have to keep the windows open. It's too hot.
And the catbirds are especially noisy.
Yes.
If it were singing, it would be one thing. This is their cackling.
They feel very strongly about what we have to say. Anyway, it was stunning to look at. I feel that whenever we watch British anything, they just know how to utilize the gorgeousness of their vistas.
But usually what I find about, especially because we watch a lot of British
Usually
mysteries,
they're
very
it's dark,
and
yeah.
they're very sort of foreboding, but gorgeous to look at. And they shoot a lot in the English countryside and by the seaside.
Right.
But this one was pastels, and it was just, it was magnificent to look at.
And Gemma Arterton is who the village people, the townspeople think of as the witch.
The kids call her witch.
Well, I think they learned it from their parents.
Yeah.
Who lives kind of isolated. She's very recluse.
Yeah, she smokes cigarettes and writes all day on her typewriter.
Right. And all of a sudden one day a woman knocks on her door and delivers a kid who this is during the war, and as part of the war effort, people are expected to take in kids,
Children from the city, from London.
evacuees. Right. His father is a pilot in the war. His mother works also for the war
one
effort
of the ministries
in London, and so she has to take him. And she's not a fan of children, which is established very early on in the film. And
yes,
so they
and in fact, I didn't like her in the least in the first half of this film. She was a horror.
Yeah. Well, but they, of course, as you can imagine, grow to have this bond, and all sorts of interesting things happen. We see flashbacks, and that's very established from the trailer, so this is not giving anything away. We see flashbacks that she is currently alone, but she used to have a relationship with another woman, with Gugu mbatha-raw, when they were in college.
Oh, when they were in college, that's right.
And
I love Gugu mbatha-raw. I think she's so gorgeous, and she's a wonderful actress.
And the problem with this movie, it's a lovely movie, but it is flawed. And the problem is that the first hour of it is very slow.
Very slow.
Not much happens, and there aren't enough flashbacks into her relationship.
Therein, I think, really lies the problem.
Yes, that is the problem.
There should have been a lot more about this relationship, a lot more.
Yes, they hurry it up. Yeah. They really hurry it up. They hurry it up in a very slow movie. No, they hurry the flashback. The progression of their relationship in the flashbacks.
Yeah, comes and goes quite quickly.
Yes. And the last half hour of the movie is wonderful, both in terms of how full of action it is, and emotion, and surprises, and you all of a sudden
Big
you care.
Surprises, yeah.
You're happy you stuck with it. But the first hour, there were times when I thought, do we want to stick with it? But the promise of something lesbianic usually makes me stay.
Anyway, I 99% will stick with something.
I also found that the central idea of Summerland, which was very central in especially the first hour of the film, was not clear enough. I actually had to read about it later to figure out what it really was.
It's myth.
It's something,
it a Norse myth?
It's something that has to do with myth because that's her work.
That's her work.
She does folklore.
She believes that, as I do in many ways, that a lot of folklore is based on reality.
Well, she traces it back to its origins.
Its origins, right?
Yeah. So there was a lot of talk about Summerland, and it was still kind of vague. So that also bothered me. But it was really a lovely movie, and if you overlook the flaws and if you stick with it, because it's not like the first hour is completely unwatchable.
No,
it's just
not at all.
It's just you
have to plod through it a little bit.
Yeah, but the last part of it is beautiful. I just wish, because the last half hour it was so beautiful, it made me especially be sorry about what could have been in the first hour and was not, because there was so much potential there that was missed.
And everybody is wonderful. The little boy is terrific. I wish he had been a little more charming. I know I'm very spoiled by British acting children who are always delicious. This little boy was very real. He was just like a nice little boy from London.
His friend, Edie, played by Dixie Edricks, I thought was very good and very full of spunk. And I think her character, and I don't want to give anything away, so you'll tell me what you think when you watch it, but I think her character was also there to support the main love story. And I know that sounds vague. I think she was. There were hints to me that
she was going to grow up to be a lesbian.
So you're just going to say
yes,
it?
I'm just going to say it.
Okay.
But that's just our idea. We could be completely,
that's what I think. You tell me. Anyway,
crazy.
Summerland opens Friday, July 31st.
Yeah, and I think I recommend it.
Yes, I do, especially for you lesbians. So that was the overtly lesbian movie. Now on to the subliminally lesbian movie. We're doing it gradually.
Well, it's subliminally lesbian, except that I'm pretty sure that Ellie
absolutely
always knows
she's a lesbian.
Is. Exactly,
she's a lesbian. And there was a lesbian love, even if it was not completely fleshed out.
Exactly. Anyway, the movie is called The Half of It. It's on Netflix now.
And I just want to say, it's not entirely new. I think it's already a month old or something, but we just got around to it.
All right. Written and directed by Alice Wu. And it's yet another, I mean, for those of you who remember Roxanne, and who knows how many movies there are, it's a high school version of Cyrano de Bergerac.
With a twist.
well, with a twist. It's a young, a kind of a dumb, sweet boy is in love with a girl in high school, and the class really genius. I mean, she's such a smart girl, and she writes everybody's papers for money. That's how she makes money. Begins writing letters to the girl he loves
On his behalf.
And that's the delicious Leah Lewis, who plays Ellie. What an adorable girl she is. Everybody was wonderful, by the way.
Yes.
Daniel Diemer
he plays dumb very well,
yes,
because he's dumb but sweet.
Dumb but sweet. Yes. Alexis Lemire is Aster, the object of both of their affections, as it turns out. Colin Chu is Ellie's father, and Becky Ann Baker plays a teacher that who I just loved. She's just so cool and
very, very unique.
Anyway, Becky Ann Baker is always wonderful. She's one of my favorite supporting actresses in the business. I've seen her many times in theater, and so it's just, she's very shy. She's very introverted. The girl, not Becky Ann Baker, she's Ellie, and she lives with her father, who doesn't speak very good English, and they live in some backwater town.
I forget. It's a funny name,
yeah.
But anyway.
And
by the way, the DP is again Greta Zazula, another woman.
Yes, and it was also, as always, lovely to look at.
Yeah.
Anyway, I loved this movie. I found it to be absolutely charming. I didn't mind that it was about kids. I loved them all. They were very articulate, except for the boy.
It was a very witty and clever script.
A terrific script. And
it was all sweet-natured. Nobody was mean.
No, but even the mean girls weren't mean girls. I mean, it was a very lovely movie. And it will teach you a lot about, and this boy certainly learns a lot about what love is about.
Well, he learns about what love is about, but also she learns about what love is about, because he has a very kind of rudimentary understanding of love, but she thinks she's a very cerebral person, and he kind of brings her down to earth, and I love it. And then
Aster is she's a very self-aware girl also. You'll see what develops between the two of them, and think about their future, maybe.
Yeah.
I couldn't recommend it more. I just found it delightful and sweet from beginning to end, and it lifted my spirits. It was just what I needed on the day we saw it. It was really lovely, and I recommend it to one and all. It's called The Half of It, and the half of it comes from the Platonic idea that somewhere in the gods got mad and split the perfect being into two people, and that we're always looking for our B'Sheretz, for our other half, which is a well-known concept.
So that's The Half of It. It's on Netflix now, and also on Netflix now, a movie that we were supposed to review months ago, but then it was pulled back because of the pandemic, and I guess they now decided to release it on Netflix.
I guess they were hoping they could have a theatrical release.
Or at least more of a,
But guess what?
Yeah, well, I think actually Netflix is the perfect place for it.
Absolutely.
It's called Banana Split. It's written by Hannah Marks, who also stars in it, and Joey Power, and it's directed by Benjamin Kasulk. And now the reason that Kasulke something. Now I want to just let you know in advance. All right, I'll tell you what it's about. So Hannah Marks and Liana Liberato, who also played in To the Stars, one of our favorite movies of the year.
I love that movie.
A lesbian movie, yes. We told you we had a lesbian movie club about it. So they play two, again, seniors in high school, as the summer leading up to college. And they find each other because the boy, Nick, played by Dylan Sprouse, that Liana Liberato's character is dating now, is Hannah Marks's very recent ex. And
you do see their relationship.
Yeah.
Also.
So the girls meet because she's curious to see who he's dating now, and then they meet and they just find this immediate kindred spirit connection. and they spend a summer of what I can't...
Summer of love.
A summer of love, yes. It's not lesbian. And the reason I have to qualify this is because Liana Librata, who I follow, when the movie debuted on Netflix, she wrote, "Come see me and Hannah Marks have a torrid summer affair in Banana Split." And I thought, ooh, let's watch it. And there are a lot of remarks on their relationship not being a lesbian relationship, which to me said, oh, they're for sure going to get it on because the lady thus protests too much.
It certainly could have been.
It certainly could have been, and there's a lot of physicality.
Mm-hmm. The way there are with girls. But usually the girls are a little younger when they're all over each other like that. It's usually girls in middle school.
And I don't know if all this talk about we're not going to be lesbians, we're not lesbians, maybe we are supposed to think that maybe someday, maybe it is leading there. They're too young to maybe. But I actually loved that, and I'm telling you this because I don't want you to sit there like I did and just wait for it to happen.
It ain't going to happen.
But what I love about it, I actually love that it wasn't a lesbian relationship because their relationship still triumphed, even though, I mean, usually we see girls fight each other because of a man or a boy. And this time, the sisterhood won over. These girls are just they have so much more in common than they ever had with Nick.
They have lovely chemistry.
They do.
And by the way,
Dylan
Sprouse, who played Nick, is a yummy
So you say, boy. I don't share that opinion.
I thought he was just delicious.
Jessica Hecht plays Hannah Marks as a hilarious
mother. Very evolved in many ways, and she has a sister who she has a younger sister who is a pain in the ass, a total pain in the ass.
I thought Mimi and I kind of didn't share our feelings completely about this because Mimi thought it was
I think it's a very, very young skewing high school, maybe early college movie, and I've always liked movies about young people and young themes, and yet this felt very young to me.
Well,
this felt like a movie that I wasn't particularly meant to be.
The only thing that felt very young to me was like the type of music they listened to, a lot of texting and Instagram and things like that, which is just as young as any other film would be, except with younger references to which I don't really relate. But I found the relationship itself to be so adorable and so relatable because I don't know about you, but I had relationships like that with friends.
Well, I did until I started dating boys.
Right. Well,
and then
I never
didn't
started
have
dating
those kinds of relationships with girls. So.
But this is why I love it so much because here they are, they met because of a boy, and yet their relationship between the girls was much more important, and it was triumphed over it. So anyway, I mean where this movie we saw differently, but I really enjoyed it.
I also enjoyed it. I
thought it was a very good script. By the way,
it was a very well written movie, and it was well acted. I just felt that it skewed very young.
Okay, well this is Banana Split. It's on Netflix. Check it out. Now to another movie that was written and directed by a woman, but an entirely different
different
kettle of fish.
Kettle of fish, yes. This one smelled more than the other one did. The others did. It was written and directed by Amy Simons, who has a pretty large resume as an actress, and has also written a few things. And it has I'll tell you who's in it. Caitlin Schell, Jane Addams, who you might recognize, Katie Aselton, Chris Messina, Josh Lucas, and Michelle Rodriguez.
You should have opened with Michelle Rodriguez. I think she's the only person here that's
very small, except for Kate Lynchell and Jane Addams. It's really mostly... Yeah, the other people, yes, they have things to do, but they don't have that much to do. And I have to say that...
Let's just say what it's called.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. It's called She Dies Tomorrow.
And it premieres in drive-ins this Friday, July 31st, and on demand, August 7th.
It's a pretty good drive-in movie because, I don't know how easy it is to drive away in the middle of the movie. But it might be easier to drive away than to get up and get out of it in the middle of the movie.
Which tells you how Mimi felt about it.
There's something very interesting about this film, and if this film had been made now to reflect what's happening now, I think I would have found it more interesting as an exploration of the zeitgeist. But it wasn't written now, and what it's about is this feeling of dread that all of a sudden one girl begins to feel that she's going to die tomorrow. And it's contagious. It's like not a folie à deux, it's like a mass delusion. Everybody that she talks to and sort of tells about it, they start to feel that way too. And it's this constant feeling of, well, this is it, this is our last day on earth. And it comes upon people very quickly. They're fun, they're having a party. Oh, someone gets a pizza delivered and they feel they're going to die. I hated the way it was filmed. Absolutely loathed it. It was very dark. Dark, not in dark and atmospheric. Dark, and I couldn't see what the hell was going on.
Dark like that episode of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. Like there would have been a mistake. Although I think it takes place in California. And it's very bright sometimes out in the bright sun. But most of it was very dark. It was shot through doors and at odd angles and strange lighting effects. And she's obsessed, the first character, with a piece of classical music that she plays over and over and over again. And I just wanted to start screaming and never stop by the third time she put it back. And most of these people were using, by the way, interestingly enough, turnstiles and listening to vinyl. So I hated it. I hated almost every minute of it. It got a little bit better in the second half. I don't know why. It spent much too much time with with Kate Linshell's character. By the time we got to other people, and it started to creep through their direct populace, it got a little more interesting. But I read a few reviews, which I want to do, and on IMDb, not people reviews, because no one had really seen it. It was an entry at South by Southwest, so a few people saw advanced screenings of it before the pandemic hit, and someone who was a reviewer, I read 3 reviews. 2 of the reviews were absolute raves. The Second Coming, this would have been the most talked about film probably at South by Southwest. It perfectly encapsulate what's going on in the world, the feeling of dread that we're all going to die.
Now, they might have not talked, you're thinking about the pandemic, but it may have talked about, referred to like the political notion,
yes.
the rise of nationalism and,
yes, it could have meant all of that. The movie to me was still boring. And,
yeah. I'm just saying they could have, it doesn't necessarily have to mean an actual death like a pandemic. It could have just meant like a general feeling of, oh my God, this is the end of the world.
But the third review I read agreed with me.
Okay.
And almost everything I had to say.
So what do you think? Should they go see it or should they not?
Don't go see it. I might just, because I kept thinking, well, I must be a curmudgeon as I read these things. I am missing something. Boy, am I non-intellectual. But I also have to give a disclaimer. It was a very kind of an impressionistic film, and I am a literalist. I don't like absurdist theater. I'm not too crazy about most avant-garde film. I'm not that big a fan of modern art.
You don't like so much.
So it's not really my wheelhouse. It's not really the thing that I love. Although I have been known to
appreciate all sorts of things.
Listen, I sat through the entire Tree of Life, and I appreciated the visuals enough to sit through that painfully boring film for almost, 2.5 hours. So I say that She Dies Tomorrow died for me today.
Yesterday.
And
okay. Yeah. So She Dies Tomorrow. If you're still interested, in drive-in.
If it sounds to you like it might be, they call it a horror film. I don't feel at all that it's a horror film. Again, it's impressionistic film of some kind. It's avant-garde.
In drive-in theaters Friday, July 31st, and on demand August 7th.
And may I say, I know it's avant-garde. I'm not saying avant-garde because there's an E at the end of garde. It's just...
There's avant-garde E, like with a Y,
exactly.
like it's the type of it, yes. All right, now, a new docuseries that you can watch actually right now on PBS or on andshecouldbenext.com called And She Could Be Next. And it's a 2-part...
Sort of like She Dies Tomorrow.
Oh, gosh.
But not
that way. It's a 2-part docuseries directed by Grace Lee and Marja Safina, and it was executive produced, among others, by Eva DuVernay, and it's done in association with PBS's POV. So quite the
good
pedigree.
Very good pedigree.
And I don't know if you can hear all these noises around us, the cicadas and the machines and whatever.
We got our windows open. It's hot,
Yeah.
and we're in the country.
Anyway, this movie, which is, by the way, completely had a complete creative team of women of color, is all about the women of color who are hopefully taking charge of American politics more and more. And
Some of these women we won their races.
yes, but what I mean is, the establishment, it used to be all white men, and especially in the midterm elections in 2018, you saw a lot of new races. Partly, if there's one good thing, inspired by the horrible 2016 election.
Many, many new women in Congress.
Many women ran, many women of color ran, and many of them won. And this follows quite a few of the ones that you are more familiar with, like Stacey Abrams, like Rashida Tlaib.
Who didn't win, but almost won.
Yes. Like Veronica Escobar, Lucy Macbeth, who... was my personal, tugged my heart so much, and a few others. And it follows them through 2018 and 2019 through their campaign, how they organized the movement behind them. And
the personal touch that they brought to their campaigning, which I really, really appreciated.
Right. So this movie, they present it as they're asking the question of whether democracy itself can be preserved and made stronger by those most marginalized. And the answer, of course, is yes. To me, this was a very, very interesting subject matter that I was very interested in watching. I thought that they made a mistake by making it a 2-episode docuseries. I think they should have condensed it into one because they didn't follow that many candidates that they needed that much time. So what happened was it just became kind of repetitive. And I understand that
they went further and further into their campaigns as time went by. And full disclosure, we did not watch.
No, we couldn't.
All the way through. We didn't have the time. And I think then we got to the end of some of these races because we know several of these women won.
Yes, but I think they could have taken the first half of the first... I mean, listen.
Yes, I agree. I was much more... I was really enjoying it, and I didn't mind, as I often don't, going through the details and just sitting because I was rather enjoying it, but it was too much.
I enjoyed it for the first half hour, and then I found that it was repetitive, and I was eager to get to the last half hour to see what went on with how did they fare, why did they what did they do when they succeeded or failed, and all that stuff. I found that the part in the middle was belabored. Maybe they thought, we have all this fantastic footage. I don't want to leave it on the cutting room floor.
It did sort of feel that way.
Yeah. But with that said, it is available on PBS, and you can just go and watch. You can watch the whole thing if you find it utterly fascinating, or you can fast forward to a little bit. But I really think that it's a good subject matter. It's
absolutely. You get to know a little bit more about these women.
And it's very intimate footage. They had very obviously full access to them. And it's an important topic, and it's we have an upcoming election. I think it's very good timing to watch such a film. So check it out. It's called And She Could Be Next, either on the PBS website or on their own website, andshecouldbenext.com. And we highly recommend it. Yes,
if a bit belabored.
Yes. And finally, we're running out of time, but we were called to task, and rightfully so, for forgetting to mention when we reviewed The Old Guard a couple of weeks ago, we forgot to mention
a gay male couple who have been lovers throughout time. They met cute and were enemies in the Crusades, which of course we don't see that, and became lovers
for the ages, literally.
For the ages, they were together for centuries.
And we just want to mention
they kissed. They were just,
and it's a select group of 5 people, out of which 2 are gay and are in a relationship. So it's quite amazing when you think about it, statistically speaking, that they chose to do that. Also, they're the lucky ones, because everybody else keeps losing the people they love, and they always have each other. So
Anyway, forgive us for forgetting it.
Yeah, it was
it was Luca Marinelli and Marwan Kenzari, and they were adorable and charming, and
it was a great thing to do.
Great thing to do, and I'm so sorry that we forgot. If it had been 2 women, I can assure you,
we would not forget.
We would have led with that somehow or other. Though it just slipped our mind. We love.
I blame the pandemic. I blame everything on
Well,
the
I think I
pandemic.
reviewed it already myself. So there you go.
Anyway, so if you needed another reason to like and watch The Old Guard, that's our show for today. And we're reminding you that Talking Teal is actually happening this Sunday. Wentworth premiered its 8th season, and we're back with Talking Teal. So make sure to tune in, and we'll see you here on our next podcast episode.
Be safe, be well, wear a mask.
We'll have to stop saying that after the pandemic is over.
Maybe not.
Maybe no, God. That's a story for another time.
so that you don't die tomorrow.
It's all full circle now.
Oh, God.
You don't know the half of it. Okay.
Oh, my God.
Don't try. We can't really fit banana split, but
She could be next.
eat banana split because you might die tomorrow.
You might as well.
What are we left with? Summerland. Well, it is summer.
It is
Okay,
summer.
well,
Okay.
we're
Oh, my
losing
God.
it. All right, people. All right, folks. That's us.
Bye.